All right, folks, welcome back to the podcast. Now, I told you guys we had a special guest today, and as you can see, there's nobody sitting here beside me, but I can magically make somebody that you've been asking for just appear with a snap of a finger. Ladies and gentlemen, that's right. We have got none other than DJ Arms from Do Your Best. We're not even gonna mention that other channel that
That other
tries to
channel, that's
play
right.
off of like your prowess and presence. I hate that
Right?
you're no, I hate that you're not gonna be able to hear this, but I got to play the intro music real quick. And this
Okay.
is one of the downsides of you not being here with me is you don't get to
Oh,
hear the intro music. I'll have to send you the audio clip of it, or you'll see it when the video comes out. We'll have you
when the
then.
video
So.
comes out. Okay.
But yes, ladies and gentlemen, in all seriousness, DJ Arms is live, not live with us. She is in Sulphur, Oklahoma. This is our first trial run
Yeah.
at a remote podcast. And I texted DJ about 2 weeks ago. I was like, hey, I'd really like for you to do this with me because I need somebody I know just in case we screw up. And that way, if we mess up, I know DJ and Daniel really well and we can kind of laugh about it and move on. So, how's the weather in Oklahoma? Are you guys finally getting warmed up a little bit?
Yes, it's like 60 something today and no rain, no wind. Yesterday the wind was like insane and it was cold. But yeah, we're good today.
Good.
Have kind of
What was
a
your all's
different
like?
story.
What was your all's like lowest low over this last like whatever 2 weeks it was that we had with this
Oh,
Arctic blast?
I'm pretty sure it was like zero with the wind chill.
Well, I know
It
at
was
one
crazy.
point
It was
Daniel
so cold.
texted me and you all were like at 9 under. Like your wind chill was down at
Oh,
nine
okay,
under.
then that's
So
what it was.
that's
Yeah.
crazy to me. Like we were at 21 and I was texting you guys. And I'm like, this is terrible. Like I don't know what to do. This is absolutely terrible. So, well, I know you have not done the podcast with us. Obviously, we've done one with Daniel. I don't know if you've ever watched one or not. I know you and Daniel have sat down and talked some, but we don't really talk about the YouTube channels much. We're definitely going to talk about yours because you have such a unique and interesting story, especially this past year has just been crazy for you. But we talk about a lot about off the camera when you guys aren't filming. And I know for you, you guys put a little bit of it on there, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes out there with you that does not necessarily make it onto camera a lot. So we're going to talk about that. Going to ask you some questions. If you have questions for me, you can always chime in. DJ's an open book most of the time. I feel like
Yeah.
it's one of those fun things where when we get to know people, DJ is very, very similar to herself on camera, but you are so much more open in person. I feel like when me and you and Sarah are just sitting around having wine or whatever, it's a totally different
Yeah.
ball game when we're all sitting around talking. And that's cool though. That's the beauty of it all. So
Yeah.
we're gonna hit the rewind button. 2022 has been huge for you in particular because this was the
Yeah.
start of Do Your Best, your YouTube channel.
I know.
Kind of talk us through how that came about. How did you end up doing your own YouTube channel and getting out of that, not getting out of, but separating yourself a little bit from AFH. I can't talk today, sorry, and kind of doing your own thing on your channel.
I don't even know where to start. I mean, for years, people have wanted me to be on AFH more, and I just didn't really want to be. I just not comfortable with the camera is all it was. Not that I didn't want to share, me or whatever, but I don't know. It was really in March on spring break. We went down to Jamie and Lester's at I'm a Survivor, and I don't know. Jamie and I just had some really awesome talks, and she, really said and kind of motivated me and was like, you need to do your own channel. You have so much, kind of like what you said. I feel like sometimes I like vomit of the mouth information and just talk. And that's kind of what happened that weekend. And I don't know. I don't really know. I just felt like I had a lot to say and to offer. And then in combination with that and getting um, Phoebe, my bottle baby, Donkey, and then we had another baby, Fallon, and I just fell in love with them. And it was like a culmination of all kinds of things. We had our ATV crash, and that was a whole thing for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just felt like I just wanted to share the mom and wife side of. I feel like I do what a lot of moms do, but moms don't really talk about it.
Yes.
So I just thought I would. I don't know. I don't know. It just
No, I
I
think you hit the
started
nail.
it,
I
and
think that last statement you said, Sarah and I've talked about this a lot, and we've talked about it with you and Daniel as well. I think it's so important for people to know that when content creation is going on, we're doing all the things we do, whether we're traveling and you know, a lot of times it was kind of the same thing. Sarah's a major part of our channel, but she just started her own channel. She took a huge, you know, inspiration from you, from what you did this year. And she stepped out and started doing that. But I think it's so cool to see that there's more than that goes on behind the scenes, that what people don't realize as far as just like life. I think so many people get this grand illusion that life kind of stops for content creators, because they get this, and I always say, you know, we give them an hour and a half a week, maybe, depending on how long the videos are. They don't see the, you know, the waking up at 6 a.m. to get lunches ready, and then having to go to CrossFit and getting 3 kids to school, or 2 kids for you guys now, but that's a lot. Like it doesn't just all happen and come together. That mom life is real no matter what. And you've got active kids, man. Like Houston and Emily are like, they're going nonstop, like 100 miles an hour all the time. Just like knowing where the kids have to be, not even getting them there, just keeping up with the schedule has got to be just absolutely nuts for you.
Yeah, I could show you my calendar, but it's really insane. Like I color code for each kid, and what Daniel and I have going on, and trips and speaking, and just, yeah. I'll actually have, like, I've had these calendars since I was in high school, and I have all of them since like 1996 for every year.
That is, so you actually kept them?
Oh yeah, I still have them all. Yeah.
That's going to be something really, really cool to look back on one day for sure.
So it's a little concerning, but
no, I mean, 96, golly, that's before you and Daniel were married.
Oh yeah, that I was 9th grade in 96.
God, so your freshman year of high school, you still have your calendar, so you could go back right now and tell me what you were doing on Thursday of, like, you know, June in 1996. That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, that's borderline obsessive compulsive right there. It's
right.
It's right there is what it is. So you brought up Phoebe. I don't know if you watched the podcast that I did with Daniel. He did admit on that podcast that Phoebe was his favorite animal on the farm. Which is,
she is just like, I don't even know. She's just Earl. No, if the dogs start barking, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine. I get it. You got a lot going on out there. So I will ask that, is that your favorite? We're excluding the dogs because the dogs don't count because they're not livestock. Is she your favorite animal on the farm?
You know, I hate to say, but Fallon is actually my favorite one.
I can see that.
I don't know. She's just, you know, Phoebe was a bottle baby, and so she's very clingy and close and in everyone's business. And Fallon definitely can be, but with me, it's just like, I feel her hug me. Yeah. I know that sounds ridiculous because she's a donkey.
It does not sound ridiculous because, and we talked about this in with Daniel. I don't know if you watched the video from when Sarah and I were at your place. Sarah,
I saw some of it.
She literally came up and put her head over Sarah's shoulder, and she was trying to hug her. Now, Sarah didn't know she was coming, and she knocked her down. So it ended up being really hilarious. But that's exactly what she was trying to do. You can tell that she does that. And I know it does sound crazy to say that a donkey is trying to hug you, but it's what she's trying to do. I mean, let's not kid anybody. It 100% is. So you got your donkey population has grown. I guess all that's kind of, when did you guys get Phoebe? That was at the beginning of 2022, right?
February, March.
Yes.
I'd have to go back and look at the picture. But yeah, February, March. I want to say it was right around Valentine's Day. We got Phoebe, and then Fallon was maybe it was March. It was the 1st of March because Fallon was born, and I think this is part of it, but Fallon was born the morning after our crash, our ATV crash. Like I was laying on the couch, sore and recovering, sort of.
And concussed. I mean, and that's, that's one of the things that I think so many people don't realize. And it's tough because timeline of events kind of gets entangled when we post videos. And I think this happens for all of us. I don't think people realize when they saw that video of Daniel having to pull Fallon, what transpired right before that. Because like you said, you weren't even really supposed to be out of bed And he ended up having to
Mhm.
come get you to assist him in that process because realistically, Freedom probably would not have made it that day had you guys not been there to assist in delivering Fallon. I did
Right.
know that because Daniel had, told me that, but so many people don't realize at that time of events that you had literally like was probably less than 24 hours removed from that ATV crash when she was born.
Yeah, and we didn't even get home the night before until after 1 in the morning. Um, and so this was at 6:30 the next morning. We got up to have our coffee, and he heard something and he went out there, and the next thing I know, I see him running across the yard, and he's like, "Babe, if there's any way you can get off the couch, I need your help." And of course, it was freezing and raining, and I was not we because he wasn't in it, but I was so sore. And anyway, just I felt like the adrenaline was just all coming back, like I had just kind of deflated.
Yeah.
And then it just, you know, I don't take medication, but I probably could have used a Xanax.
You probably could have used something. And then, for those of you who don't know, I mean, I know a lot of you. I don't know that you've talked that much about the ATV accident on your channel. I know you've discussed it some, the podcast. For those of you who don't know, that's tuning into our channel. And I don't want to get too into this because it is a very emotional subject, obviously. But so for those of you on our channel who aren't aware, and maybe some of you on DJ's channel, if you're tuning in from over there, Daniel and Emily and Weston were in an ATV accident. I'm sorry, not Daniel. Houston, or golly, I can't get this right, DJ.
You're good.
DJ, Emily, and Weston were in an ATV accident. And I don't want to go into details, but I know that was like, I remember talking to Daniel the next day. This was before any of this became public knowledge. And I told Daniel, still to this day, that podcast that you and him did about the accident, I've never been able to watch that. It's just one of those deals, like knowing what you guys went through with that. I cannot imagine the emotions that you guys were feeling that day, having both your kids airlifted out of there. And then having to, wait to get to them. It was a wild chain of events. I mean, I'm sure that was not an easy thing to recover from.
No, it wasn't. I would say it took, I mean, I cried every day for a month for sure, at a minimum.
Yeah.
I just would have these visuals of, just flashbacks. And then I would look at one of the kids and see, and then it was just like, I don't want them to leave. I don't want them to, you know, I just want them, and
Yeah.
obviously we can't do that. But yeah, it took some, of course, Daniel was able to help work me through that because with his job, he's seen so much. I mean, he's seen a lot of fatalities, kids, adults, all different kinds of horrific things. And he's had a lot of training in trauma. So he was definitely able to help me through that, to figure out ways to process it, because really I'd never been in a car crash or anything traumatic. And
Yeah.
then it was my kids. I was injured too, but nothing. I mean, it wasn't substantial by any means,
Yeah.
but I didn't feel it, until later.
Yeah, you were definitely in that adrenaline. It's got to be easier on you nowadays with Daniel being a full-time content creator rather than being a law. I mean,
Yes.
I know you're obviously proud of everything Daniel's accomplished, in his law enforcement career, but it's got to be easier now when Daniel's working in these days than what it was back when he was an officer.
It is like I wasn't I can't say that word, a warrior,
There you go.
warrior, war. Uh, I kind of made a decision within myself when he became a trooper that I could not be that wife that worried, um, because it will eat you alive.
Yeah.
Every time he walks out of the door, every time the phone rings, you could literally just, I mean, worry yourself to death with that. And I've never did that. There were a couple scares, but never, you know, but I do feel this sense of security now with him here.
And I would think, and obviously, I've never been in that position. I've never been married to someone that is. Of course, everybody has that risk. I mean, when your loved ones leave the house every day, something could happen, and that's kind of one of the things I think a lot of people do. But I, that would take its toll on your kids too. If you were a worrier, like, and every time he
Right.
left, they could see it all over your face. there's no way that wouldn't take a toll, a toll on the kids, not just you, but anybody
Right.
in that situation. So not only are you, if you are worrying about it, you're also probably trying to hide it from your kids. And that's obviously gonna take its toll all the way around, I would think.
And I think with our kids, because they grew up with him doing that job, I don't think they ever thought about the negative. Like, obviously, things that I think about, he could get shot, he could get ran over, like all the things that I know that could happen. I don't think our kids ever thought about that. It was like
Right.
he was an electrician going to work,
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so and I do think that could have been different if I, you know, carried that outwardly,
Yeah, because I think
if
it's
that
one of
makes
those things
sense.
that children don't know fear until you teach it to them. If that makes,
Right.
and it's like you see a
Hmm.
kid jumping up and down on the couch, and it's like it never dawns on them that there is any kind of risk involved until you say, "Hey, don't do that. You're going to get hurt." And then that's what, and not that you shouldn't do that as a parent. I'm not saying that, but
Sure,
it's one of
sure.
those things where, there's certain things that kids don't know until their parents teach them. And that's one of them. The
Right.
risks that are involved with that. So, God bless your heart for, being able to do that for the 14 years he was on the force and, putting up with that. I know the wives are
we
the spouses are the unforgotten ones for sure.
Yeah. We joke because my mom does worry, but also my mom, if we don't answer our phones within a certain amount of time, like whether it be me or my brother or sister or my grandma, um, she doesn't go from, oh, her phone's dead, or oh, she's outside. She immediately goes to, oh my god, she's dead. you know
100% Sarah's mom. 100%. Same way Sarah's mom,
Yeah,
same
and
way.
I like that's exhausting
Yeah,
to me.
for sure.
And I just can't I can't. I could never do that with Daniel.
Yeah. And
And I think
that's a great thing to
go
not
ahead.
do that though. I mean, I think
Right.
mentally, I'd say there's definitely people out there who don't even have the mental capacity to not do that. So for you to, that's
Right.
not that's a sign of strength. I mean, that takes a different person to be able to be like, I love him. I'm going to love him when he leaves. I'm going to love him when he gets home. But I'm not going to
Right.
spend my whole day worrying about him because mentally that's not good for you. There's no way
Right.
it can be good for you.
I will say we also kind of made this, not a pact, but we just said we wouldn't be mad at each other while he was at work.
Sure.
Um, and I will say that is not always easy.
From a
Um,
man's perspective, I would probably take advantage of that because here's the thing. If I'm walking
he
out the
did.
door and I know we made this pact, if I got anything I need to get off my chest, I'm going to say it right before I go to work because you can't be mad at me. We have a pact and you're not allowed to be mad at me
Yes.
after I leave.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we would be like, kind of arguing on the phone or something. And then I'm like, okay, fine. Okay. Nope. Or whatever. And be like,
I'm not going to do this with you right now at all.
yes, we will talk about this when you get home. I love you. Be careful.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to touch on here and kind of ask about is a lot of people don't realize. So there's all kinds of sorts of like merchandise options when you guys see us as content creators. There's direct ship, which most of you have seen like on our channel up until 6 months ago. And then there's like you make your own. There's all different sorts of levels. And I know if you guys are familiar with Arms Family Homestead, they do a lot of merchandise. What I don't know that people realize is that everything you get from Arms Family Homestead touches your all's hands. I know you guys don't make your own stuff, but that's like I saw the Christmas orders. I know that everybody doesn't get to experience like the behind the scenes stuff like we do. We are so fortunate to be friends with you guys and kind of get like the inside scoop on stuff. But your all's Christmas was insane this year for
Oh my
AFH
gosh.
merchandise.
Okay. Yeah. The merch was, there was no way we could have predicted the insaneness that came with that, which is obviously a blessing. It's a good problem, but it was just so much when we were doing that live video when we launched, and just oh my gosh, so many orders so fast. Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, and
It was
it's
insane.
just to know that like the amount of orders, like of course, you guys know we've shipped some shirts, and a huge shout out to DJ and Daniel. Just so you all know, the Eugene Coca-Cola shirt was a much better shirt thanks to DJ Arms. I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but or I don't know if you remember this, but they were actually in town when I came up with that design. When I got it, and we went to dinner with you guys that night, and I showed DJ the shirt design, and she was like, "Don't do that." She's like, "That is not the right color shirt." She's like, "You don't want to do that." And she like told me what to say to Richard, and I sent it out and got it back, and it was like a million times better because I had this like thought in my head of what I wanted it to look like. And when I got it, I was like, it was there sort of, but it really wasn't exactly what I had pictured. And with DJ's help, she was like, "You need to do this," and we did it, and I was like, wow, I'm like, that's it. Like, that's what I wanted right there. So shout out to you for making those shirts so good.
Thanks.
So now pretty much anytime I get ready to come up with a new shirt design, I like text DJ and I'm like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" just in case. But that's a very cool thing to be able to do for sure. So obviously with all the babies that you have on the farm right now, you guys just went through kidding season, and it happened like I felt like it happened in like 3 hours.
Yes, it did. I mean, literally, it happened within 2 days. I think it was 2 days. We had 9 babies.
Yeah, which is, and then you guys had like a fairly low, no, I don't want to say low. You didn't have a normal, like pregnancy rate this year, did you, with your goats? It seemed like they were down a little bit this year, just based off what Daniel had
Yeah,
said from previous years.
yeah. We also don't have as many,
Sure.
grown does that we bred, but there were some younger ones that didn't breed. So yeah, that made a big difference in the amount of babies. I think last year we might have had like, I think it was maybe 15 or so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the exact number, but it was substantially more.
Yeah. And then
But
you have what, one donkey that is definitely pregnant, right? And then maybe Freedom.
yeah,
Hopefully
Freedom
Freedom.
should be, but yeah, but she's gonna be forever.
Yeah, I know. It was
Yeah.
when we came out to your all's place back when we did the conference. We filmed a couple things there, and Daniel texted me on the second morning we were there, and he's like, "I got a surprise for Sarah, and it's gonna be bad." I was like, "Oh, okay." And my first thought was, after seeing y'all's videos with like Rufus got the boot, brought in a new boyfriend, Steve got the boot, took his woman to another man's place and dropped her off. I'm like, they got a new husband for Sarah. Like, I don't know what's happened, but they've replaced me with a better looking guy for Sarah, and that's going to be the big surprise for her out there. So, but Sarah was obviously very, very happy that the baby was on the ground while we were there. That was crazy.
Yes. Yeah, it was.
And
And we were surprised too. So, because we hadn't had those mamas for very long.
yeah,
So we didn't really know when they were going to have their babies.
yeah, and it
So
was
I
you.
love that sometimes.
Yeah, I mean it's cool because I mean obviously both alpacas this year were surprises. Maybe not
Very surprises.
Reba, maybe not quite as much as RJ. I think RJ was the
Right.
the miracle baby, so to speak,
He
because
definitely
of
was.
Rufus. So, and for those of you on our channel that don't know, you want to kind of run through that a little bit, like what happened and why that's so spectacular that RJ is even here. Kind of, if there is a short version of that.
I don't know if there's a short version, but so RJ or Rufus was our male alpaca. He's was a big character on our channel on AFH, and he was just a character and a half. And we have a neighbor that just down the road that has runs a youth camp, and they had this Penn Lagoon thing or whatever, and we took Rufus and Isaac down there just for the summer so the kids could see them. And um, then Isaac disappeared, and then like I don't know exactly, I can't remember the timeline, but it wasn't long after that. Unfortunately, Rufus, we believe, was shot. Um, Terrible deal. We eventually got Isaac back, but in the meantime, before Rufus had gone down there, I guess I should have backed that up, but before Rufus had gone down there, we didn't think that he was fertile anymore because the females weren't pregnant. So we'd taken him to a vet, had him his sperm checked, and they said he had no swimmers, and so we didn't want to get rid of him. So because he's such a part of our family or whatever,
Sure.
we decided to just get him neutered. So we got him, well, actually, we got another male, then we got him neutered, and then he went to the camp and he died. And how many months later was that? I don't know.
Not, I
Gosh,
mean, yeah,
it was just a few months.
it was a good enough of a time frame where there's no way Jerry could have gotten the females pregnant. The only
Right.
option, and I mean, let's not kid anybody. If you look at Rufus and you look at RJ,
Looks just like him.
they're
Yeah.
I mean, they're identical. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
talking to a T. They are identical. So that was such a cool story because again with the merchandise, you guys had just dropped the Spirit of AFH t-shirts with Rufus
Yeah.
on them, and it's crazy. So
Which I will say, I did not want to do that T-shirt.
we're gonna talk.
I did
We're gonna
not.
talk about all the stuff you didn't want to do here in a minute.
Okay, then
No,
I'll
but you
let
can tell that'll lead. That's a great
Okay.
segue into what we're getting ready to talk about.
Yeah, we had so many fans and followers saying, "Do a Rufus T-shirt, do a Rufus memorial," and at first I was like, "That's weird. I don't want to," I didn't want to really put our dead alpaca on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Kind of felt like that was a little, I don't know what the word is, but
Morbid.
anyway, there you go, thank you. And but people just kept posting and posting and emailing. I had so many emails.
Yeah.
And so finally I was like, screw it.
Yep, let's do this.
We'll give them what they want. And of course, Richard and his team did great with that shirt, and that's our number one selling shirt.
And then we're going to go back and we're going to talk about your number 2 selling shirt because I distinctly remember. So just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a timeline, I didn't even meet DJ and Daniel until I guess a year and a half ago. It was in June of 2021 when I met you guys for the first time, and quickly became very good friends with Daniel. Well, back in February, Daniel was going to the Farm Machinery Show up in Kentucky, and he showed me a mock-up of a shirt, red shirt, cartoon character on the front of it, and all it said was, "Come on, goats." And the first thing Daniel told me, I was like, dude, that's going to sell like crazy. I'm like, yeah, I hope you ordered enough. And he's like, DJ doesn't even want to sell them. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, DJ hates these shirts. He's like, she doesn't even want to order them. And then I remember when you guys released those, they were gone in like, what, 5 minutes or something crazy like that?
It was crazy. Yeah, it was like 2 hours and they were gone.
So what was it about that shirt that you were just like, no, I can't do this?
Well, because I like to stay within kind of like what's kind of stylish and current, like as far as, I have teenagers and all their friends are around us all the time. We're not older, I feel like we're,
Yeah.
fairly youngish. And, so I kind of just wanted to stay current, I guess. And to me, that was very cartoonish. I mean, it is.
Yeah, it is cartoonish for sure.
And so it just really didn't flow for what I envisioned. And Daniel's like, it's not about you.
Right.
It's not about, you're selling this, to our fans. And that's the kind of stuff that he thought that they would love. And he was right. And and not that, I think we could have came up with a good shirt, that wasn't a cartoon, but that one is definitely the number 2. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's the number 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have we'll keep it to t-shirts because I know you guys have got a lot now. Do you have a t-shirt that is your all-time favorite?
I do. And it's not even an AFH or Do Your Best. It's the Creek Life. And it's just a gray t-shirt with the Black Creek Life logo.
It's literally
my favorite.
I mean, I'm rocking the Creek Life gear right now. So that's one of I tell you guys all the time, there's so many perks to having friends like Daniel and DJ. One of them is I always get to see the shirts before you guys do. Sorry, but I do. I also get to pre-order before you guys do. So it's like, I got this shirt like a week before they even launched. So I was like, I'm not going to wear it until the video comes out, but like, that's one of the perks of knowing you guys is I get my hands on Do Your Best and AFH merch. Like Sarah, I think got a tank top when we were out there from DJ for the Do Your Best side.
That is one of my favorites too.
Yeah, she loves that. Yeah, well, she loves that tank top. I don't know what about it is that
Did she get the blue or the pink?
She
I
got a
think
white one, I
she has.
think. It was the one we did with the day
Oh,
you got
that's right.
home.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. It was the
Yeah,
day
yeah,
you
yeah.
got home and we did the video with the donkey and all that. So
Hmm.
she wanted to do your best
Yeah.
shirt for that. You have like your channel. I know we've talked about all this stuff on the farm, but I do want to talk to you a little bit about the actual do your best channel because that has just exploded in 2022, and I know there's going to be naysayers out there, and there's going to be like, well, it's easy to do that when you've got a main channel that's got 750,000 subs. You're right there, but to an
Yes.
extent, that's irrelevant because I will tell you just by reading comments that you have got a lot of fans on your channel that have found you, and it was not through AFH. AFH. Why can I not say that today? It's just not coming out
Oh,
of my mouth.
it's
I don't know what's happening.
it's all right.
But just through reading your comments, there's a lot of people on your channel that have bought into you because of that. I'll call it a lifestyle because I really feel like you've developed your audience and your channel into a lifestyle of working moms and parents and wives, and you've really put that out there for people to kind of draw inspiration from.
Yeah, I mean this. I don't want to sound conceited, but that was kind of what I had in mind. Not that I thought that I could impact thousands of people because I'm so great. That's not it at all. I just feel like I'm just a normal mom like everybody else, and so why don't we talk about it? And I just happen to share it. I just, you kind of get to see it. I know I don't take my phone with me to everything I do because nobody has time for that.
I think a testament to that is, when we did the meet and greet thing down here with you guys at Milton, the one young lady that came up,
Mm-hmm.
she was literally in tears talking to DJ
Yeah.
strictly because it was like she felt like she knew you. You were
Mm-hmm.
obviously somebody that she was inspired by, and it's awesome to see that. Even from the outside looking in, it's very, very cool to see that when people get to meet you and to know that you've had that impact on somebody's life, which obviously with her you had. There was something from the Do Your Best channel that had somehow inspired her, impacted her life in a positive way. I mean, it was blatantly obvious when she came up to you.
That is one of the things that I had seen over the years with AFH fans, followers, whatever you want to call, that in the comments there would be so many ladies that would comment about how they don't have any life left. You know, regardless of their age or their circumstances. I just kept seeing over and over how they were like completely defeated, like they literally had no life left in them. And just it would just get me to thinking how really sad that is,
Yeah.
and how I don't want that for anyone. And I feel like sometimes that's why I'm so busy because I don't want to ever. I don't know what I'm trying to how to verbiage it.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever feel that way. And so I like the busyness. I like that we have so much going on. I've always been a hard worker and didn't do real good setting still. Um, Daniel doesn't either. So I feel like that's why it just works for us
Yeah.
in a way. Um, and so I thought by sharing what we do, that might help some of those people understand that you don't have to have a lot to have a wonderful life.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's really at the end of the day your choice.
It is. That
It's a choice you make, and it can it can go every direction. But why not look at the best part of it?
I mean, I couldn't agree with that more. It's so, you hear so many people, and it's a multitude of things. It's, life's kind of kicked me in the rear end or circumstances that's happened. And so many people give up so fast in today's day and age. It really feels like that. I mean, it's like they can be on top of the mountain one day and then the next day. And I think social media beats people down sometimes. So it's
Yeah.
so refreshing when you came out with your channel and it's just like, hey y'all, this is what we're doing today, and it's very raw, it's very real, and I think that's huge to have that from a standpoint of, like you said, you obviously, I'm sure you did draw some of the audience over from AFH. You guys have an older demographic. I mean, you do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm sure that you've seen some of that in your channel as well. But I've also seen some comments in your some of your ladies don't like Daniel. I don't know. I don't know why, but they do not like Daniel.
I know it's crazy to me. They don't like Daniel, and there are I was really shocked about this, but I've had several women, a couple of men, but several ladies leave comments talking about my face, my actual face, like just come at me. Because I have like a brown spot here, or
What?
my hair. Oh yeah, like of course I just either delete them or just keep
Yeah.
going because I'm not gonna let that affect me. But
No.
sometimes I'm like, how do you out of all the things you could have
Right.
you said about what was in the video, that's what you want to complain about?
Yeah. Well,
And that sucks for them. I hate that.
well,
You
and
know,
here's the thing. And somebody told me this early on in like our content creation journey, and I don't even remember who it was, but their exact statement to me was, when someone makes a public statement like that, which is what it is, when you might not realize your comments are public statements, but they really are. If you guys comment on one of these videos, you're making a public statement. And when someone does that and it's negative like that about somebody who is really not a negative person like you, it's so much more of a reflection of that person rather than the person they're commenting
oh
about.
yeah,
If they're on there and they're trying to nitpick about a spot or the way you smile, there's something going on in their person that they are completely unhappy with, and
hmm,
the only thing they know to do is to lash out at somebody else because fixing themselves may be too hard or too much of a
right,
task. I mean, it was whoever told me that. I really took that to heart. It's like, you cannot, number one, in this job that we do, you cannot get caught up in the five or six
mm-mm.
comments on a video where, because there's always going to be people that don't like you.
Oh yeah,
No,
oh yeah,
except you on, so it's complete opposite, because I don't read all the comments, but everybody on the AFH channel loves you. Like, they are all about you. You don't ever see a bad comment on the AFH channel about DJ. Now they'll rip into Daniel because he killed a
hmm,
pet or something, like he does real
yeah.
weird and sometimes, but they love you. But it's funny to kind of see them rip him apart on your channel, and we've seen it. Of course, Sarah's channel is still very, very small, very new, but we've seen that a little bit. There's definitely some of the ladies on Sarah's channel, the PYT life movement, that don't like me. I'm like, hey,
Yeah,
I'm here to, they're like, it's good. It's about time you got away from him. He's just bringing you down. He's an anchor around your neck. And I'm like, how? I'm like,
yeah,
all I
yeah,
did was I've been trying to get her to do this for 6 months. What are you talking about? So it's like, but people
yeah.
just don't
Well,
know.
also like we're married. Like that's what my channel is about my family, my life. And I feel like even if you just pop in on, you're new to a video or whatever, I feel like you're going to pick up on that pretty quick. So for
Yeah.
people to just bash, and they even did when I had Houston on, like we were messing with the donkeys, and they complained about Houston being on it, and I'm like, it's just one of those things. You're like, okay,
You're like,
just keep scrolling.
it just has to be you. It can only be DJ on the Do Your Best channel. No one else is allowed to be on
Like,
camera
how
at all.
boring would that be?
And well, and
I
it's,
just,
I don't think they think it would be boring at all. I think they absolutely love it.
well, and sometimes I mean, obviously it is mostly me, but I want to change it up sometimes. I don't want to just do the same thing, and that's what on AFH, because it has gotten so big. People will say, "Oh, you don't do what you used to do. You don't do that stuff anymore," and I'm like, "Well, thank God for that,
Right.
because we would never grow. We would never, it just."
Yeah.
Some
You,
people just don't get it, or they just are just so set, and because they watched a tomato planting video, he
yeah.
needs to do that all the time.
Yeah.
But how many tomato planting videos do you really need to do?
Well, and it's funny
um
because the social media algorithm tells us that that's what we're supposed to do. I mean, it really does. In the grand scheme of
yeah,
things, you have got to be able, you have to be willing to take a risk here and there and do something different. Because if you, I mean, we're kind of experiencing that right now, simply because we've, of course, we started off doing a whole lot of fishing, and we still fish. Like 80% of my videos are fishing, but now we've kind of started incorporating some of the homesteading stuff, the chickens, the gardening. And there's a select few people that are old audience that are like, we'll go 3 or 4 days without showing the chickens. Like, what happened? Did you kill them all? Where'd
yeah,
they go? And it's like, no, not at all. But then there's some people that just absolutely hate it. They're like, go out, catch mangrove snappers every single day. That's all I want to see you do. I don't want you to do anything else. But you're right. You're never going to grow if you just continually do that same exact thing over and over and over again. And you guys have done such a good job, even on your channel, especially. You've gotten, from an outsider's perspective or a fan's perspective, you've gotten so much more comfortable on camera. I cannot imagine you agreeing to do this a year ago. Like if I'd have asked
Oh
you to do
no.
this podcast with me a year ago, I cannot imagine the answer would have been yes.
I would have if Daniel was sitting here with me. But uh, the day I shot my first video, when I started it, I literally thought I was going to throw up. I think I like did an intro probably 5 times.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope, nope, nope. And it wasn't anything, it was
Yeah.
just, and I still don't like doing intros or outros in front of Daniel.
Well, I mean, I
Or
remember when
anyone,
we were out there, you were like, I got to go over here and do my intro by myself. I can't do this with you all. And I'm like, you do realize like 60,000 people's going to see this when you upload it, right? It's like not just us sitting here. Everybody's going to see this, right? So, but like just to see like the progression now, and I mean, you may still be super nervous. I can't tell on camera anymore, but
No.
was it difficult for you? Like, did you feel like when you first started doing this that you would use Daniel as like a cushion for if you were on camera before that? Because you always have that thought that if something goes wrong, I know that he's going to be there to like grab it and take off with the video.
Yeah. It was definitely, I had that in the back of my head, but also I'm hard-headed and kind of competitive.
Yeah,
And so I didn't want to depend on him. I
sure.
love it when he gets in the video or whatever because it
Yep.
always makes it just a little extra or whatever. But yeah, he does his thing, and sometimes, I'm over there, but then I don't know. I really I like not leaning on him for that. Like,
100. And I
that
think
makes
that's
sense.
it makes perfect sense. And I think that's a great place to be because it really, in my opinion, it completely opens you up as a creator because you are forced at that point to create. You're not, and I'm the world's worst at this. If you guys have not noticed, if Sarah's with me on the boat, I will 100% lean on her for content. It inevitably, I do it all the time because I know she's there. I know you guys love her. She's super funny. She's energetic. So a lot of times I'll find myself dialed back if Sarah's on a video with me because
Yeah.
I know I can. It's like I don't have to put everything out there and go all, balls to the wall, so to speak, because she's going to pick up that entertainment slack for me. And it's super important, like you said, for you to not have to lean on anybody and be able to go out there and make a video by yourself, a 20-minute video or whatever it is, and just, rely solely on your creativity to make that happen. But
Yeah. Now, sometimes I will say, I need an idea. What could I do today?
sure.
Do you have any suggestions? Do I need to do something different? And obviously he'll tell me whatever he thinks. Now sometimes I don't like his ideas. But
She said sometimes I just don't like his ideas. Have you ever made a video that was Daniel's idea that you didn't like, but you made it anyways?
I don't think so. Not that one comes to mind.
Okay. I just thought that would be a good question. I'm like, did you ever make one that, because for you, the cool thing about your channel is you're never really alone because your animals are such characters on your channel. I mean, they truly are. And I know that's hard for some people to wrap their heads around, but I promise you there are probably people that have watched your videos to an extent that struggle to remember your name, but they can say Phoebe and Fallon without a question.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely all about the animals.
Yeah,
I
I
mean, I
mean,
think there's a small portion that is about me, but 100%. I mean, they love the animals, and that's I'm glad because that's why I started the channel is because I wanted to share their personalities and just how great they are. I mean, they're fairly low maintenance. I know we had a lot of trouble with Jesse, but I feel like that was a very special situation.
yeah.
I don't think that's common by any means. But I love the stories that they have brought to our family. Each
Oh,
one of them individually, and how it's just growing. And we're always excited. Like at Christmas the other day, Emily and Daniel were like, "We've got a surprise for you," and I was really hoping it was a donkey, and it was not a donkey. So part of me was a little disappointed.
I You
Um,
were disappointed. Like, I'm not gonna say it because I don't know if that's been in a video or public knowledge or what, but I got that Snapchat, and you were disappointed because that wasn't a donkey. Like, come on, DJ.
before I knew what it was, yeah,
Okay,
but because Emily was like, "Mom, it's not a donkey," and I was like, "What? Now for sure it's not a donkey?" And
but
so like for a second I was
just
disappointed.
imagine, like, and maybe I need to talk to them about this because they really missed the ball. They could have put a baby donkey in there with it. Would have been that would have
Yeah.
like you never would have like gotten anything better in your whole life. That
Oh
combined
my
with a
gosh.
baby donkey, like you looked in there and there was a baby donkey. How happy would you have been at
Yeah.
that point?
Oh, it would have been just I would have been over the moon.
So
But yeah, my surprise was good. It's not public
I
yet,
didn't
but
think it was. That's why I wasn't going to say
no.
anything. I mean, in all seriousness, guys, that's one thing that like I've always been super mindful of it. And Daniel and DJ knows this. Anything they've ever sent me, I've never like let that leak out ahead of time. And I mean,
Sure.
you have to have a certain level of trust with people when you do that. And I
Mhm.
mean, Daniel and I both have done that with each other. I mean, the night the trespasser video happened, not the
Mhm.
night it posted, the night it happened. Daniel sent me that video. I had that video in my hands, an hour and a half after it happened. And there's a certain level of trust that goes into that because we are all content creators, which DJ and Daniel know I would never, put something out there that wasn't supposed to be out there. That's why we were so mindful when we came out and Jesse was
Right.
born. Obviously, we
Mhm.
knew about Jesse being there 10 days before we posted that video, but we would never like post something about that on our channel
Sure.
knowing that DJ was making a video about the birth of that donkey. So there's always that certain level of trust that you have with people, but it was cool to get that snap. I will say that's the one thing I did not know about ahead of time. I had no idea that was happening until I got the snap. I thought that was pretty cool. So you had to have been over the moon about that.
I was, and the thing is I don't like surprises. I wouldn't say I was a control freak, but I just
Yes, you are.
literally maybe a
Yes,
little.
you are.
Um, but the idea of surprises literally gives me anxiety. It makes me sick to my stomach. Like last year when I turned, yeah, it was my 40th birthday or whatever. All my girlfriends and my mom had like planned this um, little weekend to go to Fort Worth. We were supposed to go see Kid Rock in a concert, and it ended up getting canceled. Um, but I knew the night before because they told me I had to pack a bag, but I didn't know where I was going. And I literally was crying that night to Daniel. I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this. Like, it was just so over. And I did this as a kid. Like, when I was younger than 10 years old, we've got home videos of me not wanting to open presents in front of my friends
Really?
and family. Yes.
Just because you
Like,
didn't know what they were?
I think just because I didn't like the attention on me.
Gotcha.
I didn't like everyone looking at me, and like I was a really good athlete. I played a lot of basketball in high school, and I love that. It didn't bother me obviously that people saw me doing that, but anything that was just about me, I don't like.
Gotcha.
I don't want a surprise birthday party of any sort. On matter of fact, I literally threatened Daniel and all my friends, do not. And what's crazy is I love doing those things for other people. I do surprises for everyone else,
But you
but
don't want
I
them.
hate them.
Well,
Yeah,
at some
no.
point, when you're in Florida, we're gonna make it happen on your birthday, and Sarah and I are gonna throw you a giant surprise birthday party, and you can't do anything to us
Oh
because
my
we don't have to
gosh.
live with you. So it's like Daniel has to
That's
answer the
funny.
call. He has to go back to Oklahoma. We're gonna stay here in Pensacola so we can get by with that. Speaking of
Yeah.
Pensacola, let's for those of you that don't know, like Sarah and I live in DJ's favorite place, other than
My
Oklahoma,
favorite
obviously, where
place.
she loves. Probably her favorite place in the whole world. You love coming down here a lot, don't you?
Yes. Mhm.
So
Yes.
I know I've kind of heard the story, but what drew you guys to Pensacola originally?
It was really an accident. Daniel's part of the hunting show Final Descent.
Yeah.
He's been a pro staffer on that for years, and in 2000, let me see, would have been 15 or 16, I believe. We had gone to the banquet for Final Descent or Outgoing Ministries I forget what it's called. Um, anyway, Brad was putting on this auction, and us and two of our best friends went up there and had a really nice dinner. And one of the auctions was a 3 night, 2 nights, and 3 days. You had a condo and you got to go fishing, and it was in Pensacola. And we were like, oh my gosh, Jill was like, let's just do it. And I'm like, and then I start like almost hyperventilating during the auction because that's what I do in auctions. I start getting sweaty and I can't like control my hands. It's a problem. Um, and we ended up winning this fishing trip. We paid split it, and I think we paid $1,100 a piece, and I just about stroked smooth out. And Houston was like 3.5, I think, and I'd never left him, and that was very hard.
Yeah.
I cried, I'm pretty sure, to Louisiana, and it was just the water when we got there. Of course, our guide was Brian Ballard. He does the outdoor, what's it called? Outdoor sportsman giving back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know exactly
Yeah,
what you're talking about. Yeah.
there in Pensacola or Milton, wherever he is. And anyway, he was amazing. The water was like glass. We caught so many fish, and we stayed another night. We booked another night to stay the night, and just going and being without kids and the fishing was just, I didn't get sick, because the water was like
Yeah.
glass, and it was just addicting. Like,
Yeah.
I can't even. It was the best vacation. Even as hard as it was for me to go and to leave, the kids, because I'm like, I used to be that mom, and I talked about it on one of my videos where I was like, how can people leave their kids and go on vacations without them? And then I did it.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I was one of those judgy moms that
Yeah.
was like, I don't know how they leave their kids. And then I did it, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Every year since then, we've gone on an adult vacation because you just need it.
Yeah. And it's one of those
Um,
things you don't even realize you need until you have it the first time.
yes. Yeah.
I was never really judgy about it, but Sarah and I were the same way. I don't think we took a trip without the boys until I think Chase was probably 8, Landon was probably 2. And it was Valentine's Day, and I've never really told this story on camera, so it's kind of crazy. But so Sarah and I, when we first got married, we've been married 20 years. When we first got married, we had nothing. Like, we were broke. So what we would always
Yeah.
do, we would celebrate Valentine's Day the weekend after Valentine's Day because everything went half off. You get candy or flowers or whatever you want the day after Valentine's Day, it was half off. I'd started the DJ business at that time. We still weren't doing photography or videography, and we had never taken a trip without the boys. Well, I actually booked a cruise for Sarah, and did not tell her about it. So you would have loved this surprise. So she didn't even know. She literally, she came home from work one day. It was the hardest secret I've ever kept in my entire life. I kept this from her for 6 months, saved money to go. I hid cash all over our house because if I'd put it in the bank account, she would have found it. She got home from work
Yeah.
and I told her she had 20 minutes to pack a bag. And we drove overnight to Port Canaveral, Florida, and we took a cruise. And that was the first real trip we'd ever done without the boys. And man, it was the same way when we first left. I felt so guilty. Like, it was the guilt set in. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going on a vacation without my kids. How could I do this? Then we got on the boat and we really started enjoying each other's company, which we didn't realize at the time, but it was something we hadn't, not that we weren't like around each other or loving on each other, but it's one of those things where you're around each other, but you don't really take a minute to appreciate each other's company. And it's very refreshing. It is one of those things that you can't really get a grasp on until you experience it, for sure.
Well, and when we went, that we didn't go on vacations up to. I mean, we couldn't afford anything. I mean, that expense was like, we're saving.
Right.
I mean, it was one of those things we're pulling money out of savings to go, but hopefully it'll be worth it. And he videoed it, and so now we weren't a big channel back then by any means, but it was just the guilt was real, and the fact that we didn't go on vacations.
Yeah.
And then we took ourselves on vacation. And matter of fact, the only vacations that we did before that was going to Oklahoma City and staying in a hotel with a pool for the kids to swim in.
Yeah.
Like, and going to a museum or whatever. That was our vacation, because we just, we couldn't afford it,
Yeah.
And so then when we went that first year, just us adults, we were like, okay, that's it. We're going back and we're taking our families, and we have not missed a year since.
No.
Some years, 2 years,
Yeah.
or 2 times a year.
Yeah, you were here.
And
You all were here twice this year. You guys didn't come twice last year, did you? Because I remember you guys were here in June. We ended up coming out to your all's place in August, and I don't think you guys were back in Pensacola until June or July of this
No.
year, whenever you guys came. So then you've been here twice this year. So when are you guys when are you gonna talk Daniel into the Pensacola condo? I think that's the question. We're about to wrap it up here. I think that's the question. When is the Pensacola condo coming?
Well, this is the thing. I feel like, we make our own plans, and I've talked about this on my video. We make our own plans, whether it's for businesses or our families or whatever it is. We make these plans, and then I feel like God's just like, watch this.
Right.
And so it's always been on my mind to have a place in Pensacola, and eventually I will have a place there.
Yeah.
I will, 100%. But I feel like with the way the merchandise business is growing, that's kind of where we need to invest and put money and time. We need a piece of land and obviously a new building. And I just feel like that's kind of where God's leading us right now.
Yeah.
And I think he'll tell me when it's time for Pensacola.
Well, we're looking for, we definitely respect the decision to grow the business, but we're definitely looking forward to having you guys down here a little bit more. We obviously, we've told you guys on the channel, and we've told you and Daniel both. We love the heck out of you guys. We love spending time with you all.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's been such a blessing, to get to know you all and actually get to know you over the last couple of years. It's been, it's business wise, it's been beneficial. I mean, let's not kid anybody. Obviously, we've picked up a huge following from your all's channel, but more than that, just from a friendship, it's cool to have somebody
Absolutely.
to talk to and in the field and be able to pick up a phone and text a Daniel or a DJ. I mean, I text DJ too, and Sarah and Daniel both know that, but pretty much anytime merchandise questions come up in my mind, I used to text Daniel, but I got the same response every time. I'll check with DJ. So it did not take me very long to figure out that DJ was the brains of the merchandise operations. So I was like, can I just get DJ's number? And from that point, I just started texting DJ with my merchandise questions because what is it? Was that
That's
you or me?
interesting. No.
Now I'm going to get a copyright strike. No, I don't even know where that came from.
I don't either. I don't have.
What is happening? Can you hear that? It's got to be on yours then. Because if you can hear it, it's got to be yours.
It's here, and my AirPod thing is here.
I don't know.
No idea.
I don't know what's happening. If I get a copyright strike, I'm blaming you for that 100%. Well, guys, I have taken up so much more of DJ's time than I'm sure she was anticipating.
no.
Thank you so much for sitting down with me virtually. Thanks for we did have some technical issues. Now, you guys are not going to know about that because I'm going to edit them all out, and that's going to be the power of video. So, but thank you so much for sitting down with me for a little bit. Like I said, we appreciate the heck out of you guys. We really do. For you to be able to take time and sit down with me, I truly, truly appreciate that. So,
well, thank you. Thank you for asking me. I love doing this kind of stuff. If people just want to ask me questions, I'll talk about anything.
And what I really want to do, I really mean this, and we're going to make this happen and we'd already talked about this, but I really wanted to get DJ on before the end of the year. When we come back down, I know that Sarah wants to do I think she said, an oyster tasting video with you in Pensacola, I think was one of the things, but I really want you and Sarah to sit down and do a podcast with each other, because I feel like if you took like us out of the equation, like me and Daniel, I feel like you would get an entirely different conversation between you and Sarah than what you get if one of us is involved.
might have some censorship things.
And I can hit a censor button anytime I need to. I can hit it right over here. It's not a problem at all. So, well, guys, I truly hope you enjoyed this one. DJ, thank you so much for being here with us. If you are not subscribed to the Do Your Best channel, I do have all of her information linked down in the description box below. I don't know if maybe you've been living under a rock the entire year of 2022 or something like that. I don't, not here to judge. I'm just saying, if you haven't, make sure you go check out her channel. Make sure you smash that subscribe button for her. She does an amazing job. They're based out of Sulphur, Oklahoma. I do have all her stuff linked. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another podcast. We cannot wait to see you guys on the next one. Y'all take care, and we'll see you soon.